Hello and welcome to Friday's Masterclass edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I get back to our roots. I'm going to try and solve today's Times Cryptic crossword for you live on screen, and I'll explain all my thoughts as I go. But it would be remiss of me this week not to begin with a review, if you don't mind, of last weekend's Times Cryptic Crossword Championship. It's always one of my favourite days of the year, and so it proved again. I don't know, it's very hard to explain, I think, to anybody who is not a cryptic crossword enthusiast, what it is like to be in a room of people with whom you share a passion for this strange hobby. And many people who I meet, there's many people in that room who I only meet once a year, and that is at the Times Cryptic Crossword Championship, and yet I think of them as friends. We may have nothing else in common, but I'll meet people like Matthew Marcus, and I genuinely, I think if I knew Matthew better, we'd be quite good mates. And I only meet him once a year. The same is true of John Grimshaw, who I've known for a long time. I met so many people for the first time. The first three people I met were from Australia. They'd come over specially from Australia to compete in the Times Crossword Championship. Isn't that incredible? I met Andrew Fisher, who I've mistakenly called an Andy Fisher occasionally, who appears in the statistics that we look at. Let's look at today's statistics. I'll see if... No, so Andrew Fisher is not there. So the first name here I recognise as a real time, John McCabe Moan, who wasn't there, which was a shame actually. It would be very interesting to see how John would have got on. Matthew Marcus Verlaine, 9 minutes 18. That is a long time. Jason James was there, 10 minutes 16. So this puzzle is obviously very difficult. That's what we can immediately assess from that. But who else did I meet? I met Liari, the constructor in the Independent, who is American and had flown over from, I think, Ohio to come to the championship. And Liari told Mark and me that she had only got into cryptic crosswords as a result of one of our videos in about 2020, which she watched and enjoyed, and in the intervening time has not only become sort of expert enough to solve the puzzles, but expert enough to set the puzzles, which is a high bar to set for any of the proper broadsheet newspapers in this country. You have to be a very, very, very accomplished cryptic or cruciverbalist, and that is what she's done. So we met her. I don't want to miss anybody out who I really want to mention. I will do a brief recap of the competition as well, although I really recommend Mark released a video on the channel, I think on Monday, where he talked through his experience, which is obviously far more relevant because Mark won, of course, for the 13th time. Phenomenal. But I did also want to give the Times a great deal of credit, not just for hosting the competition, but also for the way that they handled the words that were said about Richard Rogan. Now, Richard was a friend of mine, just a unique and brilliant man who was taken very tragically in the summer this year. I mean, it was a complete shock, and Mick Hodgkin, David Parfitt gave a very, very emotional speech, and some of Richard's relatives were there, and it was really, really, really appropriately done, and it felt a bit strange actually not to see Richard there. I'm sure that's going to be true for anyone who went who was familiar with Richard. He was always sort of a quiet and lovely presence, just very sad. Anyway, I don't want to get emotional before I solve, but all credit to the Times. And what else did I... Well, let's just talk briefly about the competition. So the way it works is there's a quarter final where everybody sort of has to solve 3 puzzles in an hour, and then the top half of the field progress to the next round. And I don't think Mark came first in that. I think Colin Thomas, who I met for the first time, might have won that round. I might be missing one person, I think. But Colin, yeah, it was really good to talk to him, and a phenomenal solver. And he is a name that sometimes appears in the stats, although he's got a funny thing to do with maths. I'm not seeing it there. Let's go a bit further down. No, I think Tom Stubbs was there, but I didn't actually meet Tom. No, I'm not seeing the mathematical code that Colin said his pseudonym was. Anyway, I made it through that round as well, and then there's a semi-final, another 3 puzzles. These 3 puzzles were quite a bit more difficult, and I mean, to give you an idea, I think I finished in about 29th place for the semi-final, so nowhere near, absolutely nowhere near getting in the top 5, which would have got you on the stage for the grand final. And I had an error in one puzzle, although I don't know what that was. I think I did solve all the clues. I must have had a slip of the pen. But I was solving 2 desks down from Chloe Hutton, whose first times crossword championship it was, and I'd done I'd done most of the second puzzle. So I've still got a whole puzzle left to do when she put up her hand in that semi-final. And my list tells me that she came second. Mark finished in the semi-final first. It is very humbling. It's very humbling when you've been doing something for so long and people are so much better than you at it. It really is. But many congratulations to Chloe, who I think eventually came second in the grand final, and to Liam Hughes, whose first crossword championship it was as well. And Liam came 4th in the semi-final, and I think third. I want to say third. I think I'm pretty sure third. I hope I'm not doing anyone out of a place there. In the grand final, it's just absolutely brilliant to see young blood coming through, and of course I'll leave Mark to last. Neither of us talk about the other terribly much on the channel. It seems somewhat inappropriate to do so, but I have known for a very long time just how brilliant Mark is, especially when it comes to cryptic crosswords. I remember when we first met just being absolutely in awe of the speed of him, and we've had many private battles over the years. I can remember on skiing holidays, we'd sit across the room and race on these things. I have hardly ever beaten him, and most of the time he's half my time. And I then, when I became a cryptic crossword setter, I would almost design my style to test him. So I made my puzzles so brutally difficult. And then often when he was testing them, we would either be in the same room or on the phone. So I would be listening to his thought processes and the sheer amount of words that man knows, and his ability to sort of pluck them out of thin air. It is a rare gift. It is, and it will be interesting to see whether any of the younger folk. I mean, I'm looking at the list of the top 10. My friend Neil Talbot is as close to a genius as you will ever see, and Neil came 13th. I know. I mean, it is frightening. It is absolutely frightening, the standard at the top table. But anyway, I do think Mark is a creature who has almost been designed to win the Times Crossword Championship from right back when he was a child. The books he got into were the perfect books to overlay onto the Times Crossword mapping, the Hornblower books and things like that. There are no nautical terms in the dictionary that Mark doesn't know. But anyway, it's a phenomenal achievement, and yeah, I will say it publicly just this once, Mark. Well done. Now that's enough of me waffling on. Sorry, that's what we're about. It would seem wrong not to talk about it, wouldn't it? But anyway, that's enough. Let's check. I've got a dictionary. I have got my dictionary, and now we will get cracking. So here we go. Let's get cracking and see how we go. So, one across. Stretch of land that's been cleared shows error. I have no clue what that is. So, as always, if you've never done a Times cryptic crossword before, or any cryptic crossword, and you're coming to this cold, remember, you can always distill a cryptic crossword into a quick crossword, because every one of these clues will contain a simple definition of the answer, which is almost always at the start or the end of the clue. And it's very much a case of just trying to read the clue properly so that you can work out which part of the clue is that quick crossword definition. Let's try this one. Fogyish figure. Fogyish, that means sort of old, doesn't it? What? Statue is a figure, or a figure could be a number. I don't know. No clue. 9 across. Subterfuge. The concern of wags. Subterfuge. Sort of underhandedness. The concern of wags. Is that wags doesn't have a capital? Oh, by the way, I must just talk about this. I think the Times crossword is very, very aware of the need to modernise. So it was made explicit at the Crossword Championship that live people can now appear in the clues and in the answers. And one of the I'm pretty sure it was in the main crossword. One across was Dua Lipa, clued as something like Glastonbury rocker or Glastonbury person. Well, to say I fell off my chair would not be far off being correct. If it gets much more modern than that, I'm not going to know any of the answers. I'm not doing very well here. Anyway, I'm wibbling again. Let's try 2 down. Fire on combustion, ultimately out of control. That feels like it might be a sort of and lit clue of the ultimate letter of combustion being N. Fire on, all anagrammed. No, I don't think it is. I can't. If it is an anagram, I'm not getting it. What's this one? Okay, I've got one. Right, 4 down. Frost recited his composition. Well, Robert Frost was very well known and a very excellent poet. Now, and that's clearly what the surface of this clue is referring to, or trying to get us to think about. But frost, as in what you might find in the garden on the grass on a cold morning, that has a synonym which comes up quite often in crosswords, and that synonym is rhyme, R-I-M-E. Now, if we say the word rhyme, it sounds absolutely identical, doesn't it, to the word rhyme as in poetry. A rhyme, a poet might write, rhyme being R-H-Y-M-E, and that is what the word recited is doing in this clue. So the word play here is frost, as in what's on the grass on the cold morning, recited, so we hear it, we hear the word rhyme, we spell it differently for a composition that Robert Frost might have come up with. So the answer we're looking for there is that. And now we can look at 9 across again, maybe. Subterfuge, funny business. That must be right, but why? The concern... Oh, well, Wag's a comedian. I see. Yeah. So, Wags, I thought it was going to be wives and girlfriends of sort of football players, but no, it's not. It's Wags, as in a wag is somebody funny, a comedian. And the concern of somebody, a going concern would be a good example. That's a company. A going concern is a business. So the concern of people who are comedic would be a funny business. And that is why that's right. So inferon was a word I did think of for here, but I don't know what it means. I think I've heard of interferon, but is there a word inferon? I'm not sure. Let's try that one. Gas around warmer white liquid. Gas around. So I don't know what this is, but when we don't know anything about the clue and we have to sort of deconstruct it into its pieces. One thing it's very important to think about is words that suggest changing the position or the order of things. Now, a word like around, that could indicate to reverse something if you turn something around, or it could mean take a word that's for a gas and put it around a word that for a warmer thing. But all of that suggests the other side of the clue is most likely to be the definition. So maybe white liquid Tipex. No, it's not Tipex. White liquid. Warmer. If something's warmer, it's hotter. Nearer. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, we have to carry on. Old kingdom with power over large country. I don't know this either. Old kingdoms. I mean, that's a terrifying thought. If we have to actually come up with some old kingdom as part of the answer to this, there are a lot of old kingdoms in history. Let's try 10 across. Grating cook last of cheese. Okay, well, I don't know what this is either, but at least I understand the construction of this. And that's from last of cheese. Last of cheese in a cryptic way is very clearly signalling the last letter of the word cheese, which is E. And that's going to be that E there. So what we're looking for here... Oh, I've got it. Okay. I was going to say is a 5-letter word that means cook. And then I thought, well, how about grill? And grill, with an E on the end, is a grating. Not as in a grating cheese, but a grating you might see on a drain or something like that. Oh, look, Inferon again. Oh, Inferno. What's going on with my brain? Inferno. Oh, I saw the anagram could be Inferon, a word I didn't know. In fact, I'm not changing Inferno, but I am going to look up whether Inferon is a word. No. Good. But Inferno is a word, and it has something to do with fire, doesn't it? So fire on combustion, ultimately out of control. So I said at the beginning that most crossword clues have a definition, which is either at the start or the end. But here, this is an example of something called an and-lit clue, which is a very special kind of clue. You would see this very rarely, perhaps once or twice a week in the Times crossword, because it's very difficult to construct these clues. And it's a clue where the whole clue is the definition. So we read the clue, fire on combustion, ultimately out of control. So you can imagine an out-of-control fire. That would be an inferno, wouldn't it? But the whole clue is also the definition. And how does it work? So fire on, combustion ultimately, the ultimate letter of the word combustion, out of control. Well, if we anagram fire on N, we get inferno. So it's a brilliant clue. And yes, my anagram skills were not up to snuff. Let's try 7 down. Victoria's vehicle, adorable with roof off. Okay, very nice. Right, so here is a question that I once heard the great Sabre, the listener crossword constructor. He wrote me a letter about a puzzle of his, and he was criticising his own clues. And he said, and I remember the sentence, he said, "Words do not have roofs, Andrew." His real name's Andrew. And well, this clue seems to suggest that they do. And I think they can do. But in the listener crossword, perhaps you have to be a little bit, more stringent. So the way this works is we've got, we need a 4-letter word that means adorable. And we're going to take the roof off that word. Its top is going to be removed. And that would give us ute. And you may say, ute, that's not a word, but it is. In Victoria, in the state of Victoria in Australia, they would refer to their ute, which is some sort of... Is it a utility vehicle? Is that what a ute is? Let's have a look. Ute. Oh. There we go. A small truck, pickup or van. Short form ute. Australia and New Zealand. So if you ever were addicted to Home and Away and Neighbours, as I once was, you will be very familiar with a ute. So Victoria's vehicle is not referring to a lady called Victoria and the car she drives. It's referring to the state of Australia and a vehicle you might find there. Now, where should we look now? I'm trying to decide. Let's try 13 across. Tenor originally. So immediately there, let's stop there. I'm thinking tenor originally is the original letter of the word tenor, is what I'm thinking. So that's probably T. Put in bucket, by coercion, unquestionably. Oh. I'm wondering if this is something like not half or something. I think it might mean unquestionably. Bucket by coercion. Coercion, what's coercion? Pressing, press? If you press people, do you coerce them? I don't know. Let's try 6 down. Captive in luminary Aristotle, say philosopher. It's not enough. We haven't got enough fodder in the 9 letters. Philosopher, I think, is more. Captive. Oh, prisoner? In luminary, Aristotle say. Oh, I hope this is not going to be the part of Greece that Aristotle hailed from, because I don't know that. A captive could be like a prisoner of war, POW, a con, a lag. A luminary is like a bigwig or a VIP. You can see how my brain is wired. It's just coming up with short synonyms, but none of them seem useful at all. Let's try 11 across. No words. After failing. First of papers. A bloomer. This is almost certainly the name of a flower, therefore, bloomer. I mean, bloomer can be a loaf of bread, but I think it's more likely to be a flower. There are so many flowers that cryptic crossword writers like to use. No words. After failing. What's a failing? A vice? A loss? First of papers, that feels like P. And then what's the letter A doing in this? Because imagine that A wasn't there. No words after failing. First of papers, bloomer, comma, bloomer. It would mean the same. The A must be necessary, I think, for the wordplay. Many flowers do end in A, so I'm wondering if there's an A here, but it's not really very... It's not very useful, is it? Oh, no, I thought it's not an anagram, I don't think. I was wondering about something like, no, it's not an anagram, or at least I don't think it is. Oh dear, so we're going to have to go for, have we looked at 8 down? No, let's have a look at this. Reinstate, aggregate beneath base. Well, feels like to me it feels like it means reinstate, and I'm going to have to think of aggregate. What is an aggregate? Is it everything? Is it all? Aggregate. Beneath base. I mean, base in the listener crossword can often be E. But in the Times crossword, that would be quite unusual. What about, have we, oh, fogyish figure. Oh, that would be such a useful answer. Not only because it would get rid of a clue that looks impossible. What's one across again? Stretch of land that's been cleared shows error. A stretch of land that's been cleared. And what's an error? Is that... I mean, E-R-R could be an error, I suppose. To err is to error. An own goal could be an error. O-G. What's this one again? Oh, this was our gas, wasn't it? Gas around warmer white liquid. Candle something? I don't see why. I don't see why. Oh dear. Well, I think we might have to go further afield and then work our way back up to the top of the grid, which is slightly terrifying. Let's try. Sword. The sharp blade broke finally. At last, an easy one. So, here we're looking for a four-letter word for a sword. You might think foil from fencing, or you might think épée. And if you thought épée, well done, because the sharp blade broke. If you take the final letters of those words, they spell out épée. So that's going to be correct. And now we've got a P to work with. Machiavellian line, penned by children's author. Right, okay, line is probably L. That is a valid abbreviation. I say this every week, but you can't just abbreviate any word in a clue to its initial letter. But if the dictionary supports it, and the Chambers Dictionary is a very good proxy for what the Times will allow, let's go and have a look under L, and we will find line somewhere. I think... there. So, this line, you can get railway lines as well, so just be aware, line could be RY for railway, but very unusual. You can also get EL for, especially in the listener crossword. An L is an elevated railway, I think, in America. But this is very likely to just be L. Penned by a children's author. So we need a if this is right, we need a 6-letter word for a children's author. I'm trying to think who that's going to be. And I'm not coming up with anyone, which is appalling, isn't it? Enid Blyton? Oh, Potter. Oh, there you go. Beatrix Potter. Put L into Potter, you get plotter. And a plotter, if you're a plotter, you're Machiavellian, aren't you? So there we go. We got another one. We by hook or by crook. In fact, that reminds me, wasn't there that dreadful? It was a dreadful one. So I want to say that it was either the final puzzle or the semi-final puzzle. I think last year's Times Crossword Championship, it featured one of the Beatrix Potter books as the answer, and it was, even if you're familiar with, Peter Rabbit and Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, etc., it was horrific. It was a horrific one. And now it's so horrific I can't remember it, but in chat, the chat will remind me. It was a really very surprising Beatrix Potter character. Anyway, let's look at 23 across. Score mark when difficult game turns, keeping one in match. There's a lot going on there, isn't there? Score 20 begins with T, but don't like it. Don't like it at all. Let's try 21. Where urban development has evidently gone with a bang. Where urban development has so you can see the question mark at the end of this one. I think this might be a different kind of clue, which is a so-called cryptic definition. So what does that mean? It means we've got to read the whole clue and think about it laterally. And then when we get the answer, we'll be like, oh, it's like a groaner. You'll be like, oh, I see. So where urban development has evidently gone with a bang, it's going to be something like town bomb or something, but it'll be a phrase that makes sense. Urban development. I don't know. Let's see if we can get 24. Withdraw first of money that's been raised in kitty. Withdraw First of money that's been raised in kitty. I've got sabre on the mind now. I'm now thinking of one of my favourite sabre clues, which was St Andrew's Puss Bad Catty. 6 letters. Anyone who gets that, you know, without it being a memory of having solved the clue before, well done. Let's try 25 across. Puff happening to be one. Dragon. That's right, isn't it? Puff the Magic Dragon. I think it is. If you puff on something, you drag on it, don't you? So a puff is a drag. Happening, if something is happening, it's on. And dragon, puff does happen to be a magic dragon. Little Jackie Silver loved that dragon Puff and gave him things like kitchen rings or something and other fancy stuff. Oh. Right, let's try this one. Withdraw first of money. First of money feels like it should be M. That's been raised in kitty. Withdraw first of money that's been raised in kitty. Or perhaps it's a 4-letter word for money that's been reversed, withdrawn, and the first letter of the money has been taken off, and the whole thing means kitty. Now, if that construction is correct, then our money, our 4-letter money, should begin with G. Gold. No, withdraw first of money. That's no, because no, hang on, no. It would. The second letter would be G. Oh, that feels much worse. No, I don't. Oh, wage. No, I don't know. Sorry. Let's try 14 down. Transported to a prison. I'm thinking anagram. If you transport the letters of to a prison is 9 letters. Killer in trap, rat poison is the answer there. Another relatively easy one. Once we'd read the clue correctly. You know, if you read the clue and you stop where I did after the word prison, killer in trap doesn't hold you up very far because it's sort of you've understood, you've passed the clue correctly. Let's try that one then. Countries, assorted lotteries. So again, I'm thinking anagram of lotteries, taking in millions. Well, millions can be M. So if that's right, then that's very surprising. Because is this the name of a country? Anagram of lotteries with an M in it, beginning with T. What's that then? What? Hang on. I don't know. That's really strange because I think that must be an anagram of lotteries with M in it. But I can't think of the country. Why can't I think of it? I really can't think of it. I hesitate to say there can't be a country I've never heard of, but my brain's just gone to sleep. I don't know what that is. Let's try this one. Christmas away fixture, consuming a football boss, say. That's an interesting clue. Is this John Henderson? This is John Henderson, isn't it? John Henderson is another old friend of mine. Brilliant man. I think a former Times Crossword champion. And I know he has a debut puzzle coming up in the Times at some stage. And I have a feeling somebody told me it was it was this week. And then I spoke to John at the Times Championship and he said, no, it's not this week. But then he sort of said, but I might be lying. If this is John Henderson, then I feel much less bad about this being difficult, because John is I find his puzzles very difficult. He's very, very clever. Yeah, it might be. Until they release pseudonyms, which they've got to do. If anyone from the Times is watching this, you must tell us who these puzzles are by. I'm a big fan of that. Anyway, Christmas away fixture. Consuming a football boss, say. Christmas away fixture. Consuming a football boss, say. That's such a brilliant clue. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to read it. That's why it's clever. It's just, even somebody who's been doing these puzzles for decades, I read that clue, I cannot tell you. I think the definition is probably football boss, say. But I could be completely wrong. It could be Christmas. But 7-letter words for Christmas. Yuletide is 8. I don't know. Okay, we're going to have to go somewhere else. Should we try 11? Oh no, I've looked at 11. Oh, bobbins. Let's try that one. Reversible brim from Royal Ascot, say. Oh, goodness me. Can a word have a brim? Reversible brim for royal. I'm wondering if brim for royal is the first letter of the word royal. Ascot, say. Ascot is a tie, isn't it? Reversible. Oh, I don't know. No, I'm not sure. Royal Ascot. Oh, Royal Ascot is a meet, as in a race meet, maybe? Nope, I'm not getting that one. Oh, this is going to be, this is a brute. This is why it's taken the very good solvers who are racing, it's taken them quite a while. Let's try this one. Thin twisted hooks put away. Thin. I think this means thin. Twisted hooks put away. If you put something away, you ate it. Or it could be eat even. To put away is to eat as well. So it might end in ATE or EAT. Twisted hooks. What is that? I don't know. We've got an S in this one. Let's try that one again. Score. Oh, a score mark. Is that time signature? Aha! I suddenly read it properly. It's very interesting that the moment you read the clue correctly, you can just snap into, oh, now I understand. So a score mark is saying a mark on a musical score, which is going to be time signature, isn't it? So let's put that in. Whoops. If I could type. Now, why? When difficult game turns. Keeping one in match. What? When difficult game... Oh, is it an anagram? Yeah, okay. Difficult... So difficult, I think, is an anagram indicator. Yeah, okay, so possibly this is the construction, but I could be wrong about this, but I'm going to claim it's you treat the letters of game turns in a difficult way. You anagram them. That's 9 of the letters we need. Keeping 1, well, 1 can be the Roman numeral for I. Sorry, I can be the Roman numeral for 1. I said that wrong last week as well. And that's all kept in a match. A match is a tie, T-I-E, a cup tie, for example. So that's probably how that works. I'm not going to double check the anagram fodder, but that would be my guess. So what's this then? Mug? Withdraw first of money that's been raised in kitty. Kitty, mug. A mug is a kitty, isn't it? As in a slang for a cat, moggy. Withdraw. First. If you go, I suppose if you go, you withdraw. So it's go, first of money M, that's been raised, that's all been reversed, to give mog. This is tricky. Right, 19 down. Oh, this is the Christmas away fixture. Manager, I suppose, is a football boss. Manger. Oh, Christmas away fixture. That is genius. Okay, this is John Henderson. That's just genius, isn't it? That is absolute genius. Christmas away fixture. As in, a fixture is a piece of furniture, fixtures and fittings. And a piece of furniture that was away at Christmas, away in a manger, is what's being got at there. Christmas away fixture for manger. Oh gosh, that is delightful. That is delightful. It's consuming A, so we put the A inside. We get manager, football boss. Well, it's easy once you think of it, but it's not easy until you do. And that is the hallmark of genius setting. So what's this then? Something town? Or town something? Where urban development has evidently gone with a bang. Downtown? Town? I don't know. I really hope this isn't an N, because then I won't know which word is town. What's this one? Oh, this is the liquid one. Cream. Single cream. It's going to be single cream. Well, at least that's not an M. White liquid is single cream, though. Okay. Let's put it in. Y. Gas around warmer. An ingle. Scream. Yes, okay. If somebody's a scream, they're hilarious. They're a gas. And that goes around a warmer. An ingle, I think, is like a fireplace, isn't it? Let's have a look at that. Certainly something that would warm you up. It would be. There we go. Fireplace. So it's single and then white liquid for single cream. Now, boom town, I suppose. Okay, yes. I've heard of a boom town. As in the is it boomtown rats? I think it is. So boomtown, if things go with a bang, they go boom. So it is a sort of cryptic definition. I was nearly right with my town bomb. Now, let's go there. So tenor originally put in bucket by coercion, unquestionably. Unquestionably. For certain is unquestionably. Why is that right? I don't know. Let's put it in. False, that's got in. For certain. Bucket. Oh, goodness me. Right. It's another brilliant idea here. So tenor originally. In fact, let's just stop and read the clue as a sentence. So forget cryptic crosswords. Tenor originally put in bucket by coercion, unquestionably. It conjures up images to me of, being in church or something, and a bucket being passed round and people having to put money in, and somebody saying, "No, come on, you should put more in." That's the image that's conjured up by the clue. It's got nothing to do with that. Tenor originally is T. That T there. Put in bucket. If it buckets down outside, it rains, doesn't it? So that's rain. So the tenor originally is the T is put in rain, and that's by coercion, which is force, and that all creates force certain, which means unquestionably. This is a very good puzzle. Oh, no. Oh dear. Is this Tamil or something then? No, it's not. What is this? Oh goodness, I'm gonna... Timor? I've heard of East Timor. Is it Timor something? Timor. What would we be if it was Timor? What would we be left with? We would be left with LT E and S. Timor Steel? I don't know. I'm not sure. I wonder if we can justify the R. Oh, R doesn't look bad. Aristotle say. Captive. I don't know. Let's keep our powder dry on that one. Right, have we looked at that one? Bird on atoll in tangle. Another very good surface. Bird on atoll. I mean, how is this reef knot? Why does my brain think that's reef knot? I'm not sure, but I quite like that thought. A knot, yes, that's right, isn't it? Yeah, a bird is there is a bird called a knot, K-N-O-T, and an atoll is a coral reef. So, bird on atoll. So on here, I often have trouble with this actually, and it's totally my own fault. But on in a cross clues in the Times crossword very often means, you know, put the atoll part first. So although bird on atoll, you'd think, okay, put a word bird on the word for atoll. It's actually sort of the other way round, and I often don't see those nearly quickly enough. But a tangle is a reef knot, and then we've got the components we need. Now we've got a K. Have I ever looked at this clue? No. Something truck, bumper truck or something? Dumper truck? Large vehicle upending dirt onto fresh scrap. A ruck. Yeah, it's pert at the end, isn't it? If you're pert, you're fresh. And a ruck is a scrap, as in a fight. And mud, if we reverse mud, we get dumb. So dumper truck is the answer. Very nice surface again. Now, we've got an O at the end of that one. Okay, sink to bottom of heap in effect again. To effect again is to I don't know. Sink to bottom of heap in effect again. How can I not just write this in? Oh dear. Oh no, and now there's a reference to braid out. This is a bad one for me because I cannot. I am a Walton Heath Golf Club is very close to my heart, and James Braid was the first professional at Walton Heath. I'm familiar with a lot of history about James Braid. So when I see Braid, I'm thinking James Braid. I'm absolutely sure that's going to be nothing to do with the answer, but it's hard for me to get it out of my head. So is eld by us? Braid. See, it must... A braid otherwise is going to be a sort of lock of hair or something, isn't it? Is eld by us. So when you see this sort of thing in a cryptic crossword, it's going to be some dropping of an H we're going to have to... So probably we're looking for a 6-letter word that should have an H at the start but doesn't. Braid. I don't know. Can we get that one? Oh no, this is the twisted hooks. No. Put away. Thin. Just give me a second. Let me think about this. I mean, there are other constructions that are possible here. Thin twisted could be saying anagram the word thin. Hooks could be saying then that contains a word for put. And the whole thing means away. I don't think that's going to be right, but it is sort of possible. Oh dear. Oh, have I looked at that? Oh, this is the T. Oh no, I thought that might be Timor Steel. Timor Least. That rings the vaguest of bells. If that was right, that would be an S. Sink to bottom of heap. In effect again. I can only think of the word supremo. Oh, Sub-Zero? Sub-Zero's interesting. To sink to bottom of heap. In effect again. I don't know. I think Timor... for some reason, this is now feeling correct. Which is probably just me being daft, but I think I have heard of that. Well, my brain is less resistant to the thought of this than it once was. Now, let's see if we can get some more. So, oh, is this meat then? Why? Oh, something, yes. If something brims, if you team with something, you're sort of awash with it, aren't you? So reversible, so reversible brim, I can see that's just a reversal of meat. And then Royal Ascot is an example of a meat. It's a very clever clue because it probably a Royal Ascot, as well as being a tie, I bet it's a hat or something. So a brim is a very nice... It's very misleading. Let's see if Royal Ascot is a type of hat. Royal Ascot. Is it there? Oh, it's not there. Let's look at Ascot. See, it's a necktie. I did know that. I'm not sure. I wonder if it's also a hat. Let's try... Oh, we've got an A here. I haven't seen this one. Well, we have looked at it, but not recently. Old kingdom with power over large country. Old kingdom. Oh, goodness. Are we really going to have to come up with this? The kingdom of... with power over... Power could be P, so maybe this ends in P. Stretch of land that's been cleared shows error. Stretch of land that's been cleared. Wow. I have to give credit to the constructor here. It's totally not on my wavelength in a way that I find quite wonderful. I actually enjoy this sort of thing. I sort of wish I wasn't doing it on camera because I don't like looking stupid in front of people. But goodness me. Captive in luminary Aristotle, say. Aristotle's a thinker. Aristotle was Greek. Aristotle, islander. Was Aristotle mainland Greece or... Oh, I'm not sure. Captive in a luminary. Aristotle say. Oh, this one's annoying me because I'm sure that ship owner. Onassis. Oh my goodness, that is genius. It's POW. Oh, that is brilliant. That is brilliant, isn't it? I mean, okay, be honest. How many of you had got that already? And how many of you are as sort of in awe of the construction as I am? I mean, I said POW. It's almost the first thought I had, and I just dismissed it. For some reason, I find it hard to, believe that the POW comes after the I. But once you think of ship owner, it does. And shiner must be a luminary, as something that's a light. It shines. Oh, that's very clever. Fogyish. Oh, square, I suppose. If you're fogyish, you're sort of old-fashioned, aren't you? And a figure, as in a triangle. Other figures are available, including the square. So what's this then? Reinstate. Aggregate. Beneath base. Is a base a place of rest? Restore? Aggregate. I wonder if that's right. I quite like that. Or for aggregate. I mean, aggregate, isn't it used by builders? Is it a specific type of ore? And the base of something is the rest of it. Oh, your base is your place of rest. I quite like restore for reinstate there. That feels right. Right, so what's this then? No words after failing first of papers a bloomer. Oh, my idea about the A here has gone a bit awry, hasn't it? No words after... It feels almost like an anagram of no words. If you look at the letters we've got here. If that... Oh, something drop then. Snowdrop. Oh, it's just an... It is. It's snowdrop. Goodness me. Yeah, I'm going to call this constructor John. The way John sees letters and words, it's very clever. It's just Prussia. Oh, it is, isn't it? Large country. That's easy. That's just me being absolutely dense. Old Kingdom, Prussia, with power, P for power, over large country, Russia. Now, the reason that's quite difficult, I think, if the more experienced you are with cryptic crosswords, is large country. Now, the large is very generous in a way, because country would equally define Russia, obviously. Large country defines it more precisely. But we're so used to seeing words like large and small being used for L and S because of T-shirt labels that it just didn't occur to me that large here was really being helpful. But it was. So what word fits? What word fits this pattern? That's literally all we've got to do. I mean, there's almost no point looking at the clue. Stretch of land. Oh, why don't I know it? That's been cleared. Shows error. Why is my brain going towards gin strap or something like that? That's not a thing, is it? A chin strap might be a thing. Now my brain's going to bishopric, which is not a very helpful answer. That's been cleared. Shows a stretch of land that's been cleared. Shows error. What's going on? Why? Stretch. I don't know. Okay, we'll have to come back to that because my brain is being recalcitrant about that one. We've got, oh no, I've got this. I've got the nonsense in the sort of southeast corner. We've got the James Braid clue. Braid is held by us. Sort of, if something's held by us, it's ours, isn't it? Is held by us. Unless it's we. Oh, weave, maybe. Yes, we have. And then the dropped H is in the word have. So braid, is sort of a twist of hair, isn't it, I think? Which must be, weave must define that. And we have, if something's held by us, we have it. But then we drop the H because that's what the clue is telling us to do, and we get weave. Right, now can I get this? Thin, watery. How can that? Oh, it is. Oh, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. Oh my goodness. Gosh, if you don't get the W, that's almost unsolvable. If you get the W, it's easy, but until you've got the W... Okay, again, did anyone get this without having the W here? Because you have to read it. You've got to read twisted as a three-letter word for twisted. Now, once you have that thought, it's not that difficult to know that rye, W-R-Y, does mean twisted. But it's so hard to read twisted hooks and not think of twisting a word for hooks or something. But it is hooking. So the word twisted is hooking. It's including a word for put away, which is 8 now. And that gives us watery. And if gruel, that's rather thin gruel, might describe something that was watery. Now, what is this then? Oh, it's not Sub-Zero. I really thought it might be. Let me just... I'm just going to have a look at it without going back to the clue for a moment, in the hope that reef knot is right, isn't it? I think that is right. And I still haven't thought of... All I've got to do is think of a word that fits. And I haven't managed to do it. So let's go back to the clue. Sink to bottom of heap. In effect again. What on earth? So both of these are just what I might call T answers. What do I mean by a T answer? T is a piece of software originally made by Ross Beresford, where you could sort of put, if you put S.R.E.O into the software, it would tell you all of the possible words that would ever fit. And somebody like Mark, it's a great example, he would instantly be able to give you, I mean, for much more prosaic strings than this, all possible answers instantly. And that is an unusual skill. Now, unfortunately, although my skill is okay in that regard, it's not as good. And that is where, so these, which will now take me however long they take me to solve, for the top solvers are instant, because once they get this many letters, they just know the answer. Sink to bottom of heap, in effect again. How? Oh, maybe. Oh, there is also the possibility, of course, that team or least is wrong, and I'm working with the wrong letter here. That's not going to help my T ability to work. But I don't know. That is a worrying thought. Think to bottom of heap. So can words have bottoms? They can definitely have roofs in this puzzle. Effect again. I don't know. Sink. The bottom of heap would be a P if that is right. So we'd have to put a P somewhere in this. Ah, torpedo. Timor Leste is wrong. Okay, the way I got this was I worked on redo for effect again. And then I realised that the 2 there was plain. Gosh, that's brilliant. So if you sink a boat, you torpedo it. Timor Leste, then? Or have I extracted the wrong... So, that, perhaps? Timor Leste. Or Timor Leste. It's definitely not Timor Leste anymore. I mean... Timor Leste doesn't feel right. Timor Celt. No, I don't. I think I've heard of Timor L something. I'm going to go with that. And torpedo is 2 bottom of P in redo for effect again. And all I've got to do now is come up with this one. The stretch of land that's been cleared shows error. Wow, why can't I just see this? This is so frustrating. Have I got any of these wrong? No, they're all right. All of the checking letters here I am very confident about. Timor Leste actually looks natural to my eye now. I see it in the grid, so I think that is right. Oh, now we haven't got a pangram, have we? Have we had a J? No. It's interesting. If you see a Q in a grid, it's sometimes worth thinking about, especially if you're stuck on the last entry. Right, stretch of land. I mean, I think I'm going to have to just do a dictionary trawl here, aren't I? So, I mean, what's going on? Something strip? Airstrip, I suppose. That's going to be right. I've no idea why. Let's think. Stretch of land that's been cleared shows error. Oh, I see. So a stretch of land that's been cleared. If you're coming into land in sort of on safari or something, then you might land on an airstrip, which would be just a stretch of land that's been cleared of sort of elephants and things, and trees. And then if you show something on television, you air it. So in the plural, airs, and an error is a trip. So it's very clever, again, because the definition is so much of the clue. And the wordplay is the final 2 words at the end, which is it's just, again, it's very unusual setting, but very brilliant setting. This is a brilliant puzzle. The sort of Times crossword editor, who is a friend of mine, should take a great amount of credit for setting this on a Friday. It was brilliant. Shane, it was brilliant. John, it was brilliant. It was you, wasn't it, John? Let's go submit without leaderboard and see if I've made any errors. I hope not. No, it's right. Okay. So there you go. I mean, that has taken me a very long time. I will attempt to redeem myself by having a look at the quick cryptic and attempting not to be so utterly inept at that. Let's get cracking with this, and I will race. Regularly amidst shutdown, a revelation, no clue. Ultimately sad, break in relations leads to indecisive state. What? There's a lot going on in those first 2 clues. Strong emotion, susceptible to strong emotion. Something involving tense. Bird unknown in valley. Wow, this is great as well. This is not easy. Task, finally. Angry at local feature of football pitch. Crossbar is the answer there. Bluish grey, fruit large. Pearl. Chances of winning, toss in event not entirely small. don't know. Minor planet. It soared extraordinary. Oh, that's going to be the name of asteroid. Okay, I worried that was going to be a proper name. Surrounded by leaders of angry mob in demonstration. That's just amid. Classifies leisure activities without payment at first. I should be able to get that. Floor covering from Paris that's included in part. Parquet, is that? Gosh, that's difficult. Arranged free hat for one from the past. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Sad, ultimately sad break in relations leads to indecisive. I don't know. Elite force, SAS, it's brought up inside workplace. All right. Don't know. Single loan. In South Africa, I make mistake. Sierra. Regrets changes involving India's official list. That is a register. Then we've got one saying too much. Bumbler both oddly. That's an anagram. One saying too much is a blabbermouth, I think. Mediterranean island. Tree. Oh, Cyprus, is it? I never spelled that correctly. I think it's more like that. That's probably wrong now. That's going to be evens, I think. Bird unknown in valley. Gull. Gully. That Cyprus looks wrong, but that must be deter. Yeah, that's deter. That's that one. Region in part of... That's area. That's a hidden. Is that the first hidden we've seen today? Plant having medicinal properties. Easy to understand. Oh, simple, is that? I think simple is a type of herb. Yeah, that's probably right. So I should be able to get that. A learner painting in the open air. Al fresco? Yeah, that's right, isn't it? So what is this then? For something? Forefather. That's clever. Forefather. Now, let's try that one. Quietly advance in status. Getting compliment. To advance in status is to raise, classifies, sports without the thingy. Satisfactory. I did that using my T ability. Susceptible, intense. Yes. And then two more. Regularly admits shutdown. A revelation is a disclosure. And then what on earth is this? Indecisive, a state of doubt, I was going to say. Ultimately sad. Break in relations. A state of drift, is it? Oh, a rift is it? An indecisive state. Yeah, that's probably right. That was a very good puzzle. And is it right? Yes. Terrible time. I mean, terrible. 5 minutes 18. Goodness. Moan 153. How? In fact, Chloe Hutton 151 on that. That is. I mean, that's just an example of how poor my brain is. That's so depressing. That's so depressing. 151. I mean, that must be touch typing, but the sheer speed of it is incredible. That is an incredibly fast time on that puzzle. I'm so bowled over. I mean, it's just okay. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you're still with me an hour and 15 minutes into our crossword video, then I really do appreciate you staying this long. And I feel I've let everybody down, but I will say that both puzzles I think today were reasonably challenging, and an awful lot of fun. The some of the clues, wow. Anyway, it's been a long video. I will get off now. Let me know in the comments whether you enjoy these. We enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and please do think about liking and subscribing to this video. Let's try and teach the algorithm that these crosswords really are something quite wonderful. We'll be back later with more Cracking the Cryptic.